A peaceful community comes to mind when visiting the quaint mountain town of Kittredge.
My next door neighbor quite literally brought me a pie.
A busy park, especially during Canyon Fest, a bubbling creek, and friendly people like Jimmy Dixon.
It's that type of community that people really look out for each other, and neighbors are really close.
Well, for anyone who's ever bought a house, you know that you know when you know.
For a time, new neighbor Terilyn Romero was welcomed. Last year, she bought her dream home with a backyard creek right next to the town's beloved park.
It was going to be my private backyard. I had no reason to believe what I know now, which is that the public was using my land as an extension of the park.
To most members in this community, this park is the heart of Kittredge.
For 35 years, people had access to the creek. But Romero sent us old maps and surveys she says prove the creek access area is her land.
When I first started exercising private property rights, it was really just about liability. I had some basic signs up to let them know that they were on private land.
The crowds became too much, she says, with trash, human feces, and digging. She and her fiancé started telling people to leave.
I'm just saying, like, we can't have barbecue and fire out there, man. Not, sir. It is private property. You have a wonderful day.
What type of response did you experience from the community?
An aggressive one.
Cannot wait to see you.
Suddenly, Romero cut off creek access. That prompted threats and made her feel like the most hated neighbor, she says.
I feel really angry because I tried to do the right thing when I moved in. I realized that my land meant a lot to the community and to my neighbors. I tried really, really hard to compromise and to share and to be reasonable.
Jefferson County filed a lawsuit against Romero, seeking adverse possession of the land. The county hopes a judge will declare the creek access area part of the park, citing the fact it's been used by the public for 35 years. Romero is fighting the lawsuit as neighbors pick sides.
I think it's too far at this point to try to rebuild a lot of the animosity between neighbors around it.
Back to Jimmy Dixon. He moderates a Kittredge Facebook page that's turned ugly.
Some of my neighbors that I really respected, I've seen a new side to them, and it's just been frustrating to watch.
I knew you guys were fabulous, but you're also a freaking force.
Romero has a sympathetic social media following herself.
And they've been incredibly supportive. They've validated the way that I've been feeling about this, and they've encouraged me to keep fighting for my property rights.
We've been getting a lot of social media trolls that have not only threatened the community, but threatened moderators and individuals that live in the community.
A town divided literally by a creek.
I see both sides. I see that this park was made intended to have creek access. Water access is really important for communities, but I also understand the property owner's side. There's property rights.
Can't people just meet in the middle? Exactly where that middle is will be up to a judge. And for Romero, who actually lives in the very home once owned by town founder C.M. Kittredge, it's about more than land.
The county contends that, you know what, the public has been using this land for like 35 years. Why just not let this go?
That's a loaded question. You know, I think there's a million reasons why I should not just let this go. I am fighting for the right to be able to say no on your private land when you want to say no. And I think that that's really important as an American and as a woman.
Romero and the county have agreed to allow public access until a judge makes a final decision. The county declined an interview about this story, but sent a statement that says, in part, Jefferson County has requested that the court decide the dispute as soon as possible to reaffirm its right to use the property that the public has enjoyed for over 35 years. Now, a big issue here is the actual boundary between the park and the private land. The county believes it should be the creek, but the creek has actually moved over the years. Romero says, hey, it doesn't matter if the creek has moved. My plot, my surveys, my map shows my plot extends all the way up to the edge of that park, and that's my land.
This is a tough one because you can see both sides to this, right? But I have a question. So if a judge comes in and determines, yes, right, the county can come in and like retake this private land, how does that work? Does that happen? Like, is that a thing?
It happens sometimes, but it's very rare. I mean, it's a high threshold for the government to come in and take someone's private land. If the judge decides that this should belong to the public, that's going to possibly not sit well with a lot of people who side with Romero, who believe that, you know, this is her private land. She has a right to assert her rights on her private land. So where the middle is, what is the public interest? Is the public interest going to be giving the park or the land back to the park or to the park? Or is the public interest making sure a private landowner keeps their land?
Right, setting that precedent for future cases.
Exactly. So it's that judge has a very, very hard decision to make, I think.
I know this wasn't a voice in your story, but I'm curious about the previous landowner.
Good question.
If they have any thought on all this.
I tried reaching them. I
No,
tried
couldn't
reaching
get 'em?
them, and I could not reach those.
Because
folks.
they, in theory, were the ones who allowed this for decades to continue, and there was no problem.
There was no problem. You know, this was, you know, a park that was established in 1986. And back in those days, you know, things were done a little bit differently from what I was told. And those, you know, those owners may have had a handshake agreement with the community. That was a long time ago. So we don't really know how that played out. But what's clear here is that you have things written on surveys and maps. You have a new property owner coming in, and she says, I had no idea about the historical nature of this land. And when she saw people coming onto the land and seeing the debris and the trash, she felt like, hey, this is my land here. And she says, you know, I'm paying taxes on this land.
Well, and if somebody's accidentally lights a fire on your land,
Yes.
to her point, is she liable for that?
Yeah.
That would be scary.
Yeah, so she's had to get some attorneys
Yikes.
to take on the county lawsuit, and who knows when the county is going to make a decision, or rather the judge will make a decision on this.
All right, keep us posted with this one.
Yeah.
This is interesting. I know a lot of folks are going to want to know what happens.
Yeah, there's a big balance here. Private property versus public property here. Where should it go?
Okay, keep us posted. Jeremy, thank you.